Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Top 3 Tips for Team Collaboration. My name is Michelle, and I will be your moderator today. With me today, we have Liz Gillum and Christina Ritter. As many of you know, Christina is one of our many wonderful customer success managers here at ShareFile and enjoys working with our customers to find the best ways ShareFile and other Citrix products can help their businesses succeed. Welcome back, Christina.
Hi, everybody.
Liz joined the Citrix ShareFile team in 2015 and is a senior program marketing manager. With a passion for helping customers in the tech industry, Liz is responsible for developing programs and content to help make ShareFile easier for you to use. Welcome, Liz.
Good morning and good afternoon.
All right. Well, on our agenda today, we will be reviewing first and foremost how to get started as an administrator in ShareFile. Then we'll go into best practices for your team rollout, and we'll close out with ShareFile's top collaboration features you and your team will love. We are going to be reviewing a ton of great content today, so please make sure you ask questions and share your comments by using the question and answer panel at any time during our webinar. We are recording today's session, and we will be sharing that recording out with everyone shortly after the conclusion of our webinar. In addition, we will have handouts for the webinar. I will put a link to those handouts in the chat, and those will also be in your follow-up email with the recording, so make sure you are on the lookout for those. All right, Liz, let's get started.
Thanks so much, and welcome again, everyone. My name is Liz, and I like to start each webinar kind of at the top with just a bit of a cover off on who is ShareFile, what do we do at Citrix, and just a little bit of an overview of the power of the tool you have at your hands today. So to kick us off here, I love this graphic because it kind of highlights some of the best of what we do. At Citrix, we empower our customers to find secure and reliable access to apps and data anywhere, on any device, and across any platform. And the ShareFile solution is essential to delivering on this broader Citrix vision. It was founded on the principle of enabling business and IT professionals to work the way you want. If you look at the bottom of this slide, I think one of the most exciting things we have to share today is brand new, hot off the press. If any of you are familiar with industry analyst Gartner, they're an analyst group that sits in the technology space and really reviews technology vendors across size and industry who are leading in various areas of expertise. And they have a brand new, they call it a magic quadrant in content collaboration. They reviewed a number of solutions, and Citrix was just named a leader in that quadrant in content collaboration. So we're very excited about that. And the reason that we were named that leader is really these benefits that you see here. We think of ourselves with kind of 4 core tenets. Those are those circles you see on the slide. And the first and foremost is secure storage and storage flexibility. What this means is that when you store data and documents and content with Citrix, you can trust that it is secure. We use bank level security across all of your data so that you and your clients can be confident that their information is safe. We also allow you to connect out to other storage repositories. So if you have network shares or a OneDrive account, something like that, and you'd like to create kind of a secure port into those other storage centers, you can do that. We're not going to go into a ton of detail on that in today's webinar, but it's just something you should know we have. And if you have more questions about that, please let us know. The second key tenet there we've already touched on is security. This is so fundamental to everything we do. It seems like every time you open the newspaper, there's another headline around malware, ransomware, data breaches. Security is so core to what we do, and Citrix is really a leader in bank-level security for data and content storage. But getting more into the topic of today's webinar, the bottom 2 circles, collaboration and really just accessibility and flexibility across devices. We recognize, and this is what Gartner has recognized us for, that simply sharing and transferring files isn't enough anymore. Not if you can't collaborate on them, easily transfer them between users, kind of build and work on files at the same time. And a lot of what you'll see in today's presentation are some of the improvements and enhancements we've made in that space. And we are growing. At Citrix, we have now more than 65,000 business customers and more than 20 million users. 99% of the Fortune 500 are represented in the ShareFile user base, and we can't wait to show you more about what those users see. All right, so if we hit the next slide there, I think we're going to start off with a question to learn a little bit more about you.
All right, so let me get this poll launched. So we would love to know, what is your role with ShareFile? Our content today is definitely going to be tailored to our admins, but we want to know who we have on the call. Do we have master admins? Do we have some admin rights? Are you an admin and a user, which most of you would be, or just an end employee user? I don't know. I'm fortunately seeing nobody select that, so that's wonderful. So it looks like the results are coming in. Master admins are our largest group on our webinar today at about 55%. And then we have some admins without master admin rights at 34%, and employee users at about 22%. So we have a great mix of people on the call today. So I think everybody is really going to get a lot of value of the content that Liz and Christina are about to share.
That's super helpful, and welcome everyone. We're so happy to have a diverse group of folks on the phone. We'd like to ask this question because it kind of helps me as we go through the webinar, and we can talk about different points of value for each of you. At the top of the webinar, we may have a few items that are a little bit more focused on our master administrators and really those other leaders on the account. So all of you that kind of identified as, I'm a leader on the account, but maybe not the master admin, this stuff is for you. But we have a lot of value for our employees as well. If you're just a user on the account, we're going to talk a lot about the top collaboration tools that should be popular in your business. At least they are for us, and that's what we hear on the road. So I think there's something in here for everyone today, and thank you all for joining. All right, Christina, let's move on. One of the things we like to talk about at the top of any collaboration webinar is really, what do people use ShareFile for? And this is kind of one of our best kept secrets, not intentionally so, is really the duplicity of our use cases for folks like you. We're going to talk a lot about what you see on the left here. And this is the use case where a lot of customers, if you've bought ShareFile, it's really so that you can have an internal collaboration platform for you and your other colleagues to store personal files, sensitive files, business documents, and kind of co-edit and share those team documents. But there's also a huge play for ShareFile with your clients. If you do a lot of customer interactions, if you're in accounting and maybe you do a lot of taxes, if you're in legal and you're sharing contracts and documents with clients that really need to be secure and protected, ShareFile can also be used as an external secure hub for you and your clients. And a key call out here is your clients don't have to be paid ShareFile users. You can give them a free license and they won't have all the power of ShareFile, but enough to exchange documents with you. And that's a great use of ShareFile as well. As we go through today's webinar, the biggest thing we want you guys to remember is that you can also do both. You do not need two ShareFile instances, one for your clients and one for your team. The value of ShareFile is in its ability to kind of restrict permissions, change authorization levels, such that, you know, folks only see what they need to see, and you as an administrator have those controls to kind of give and take permission from folks. So we're going to talk more about internal collaboration today on the left, but really just wanted to hit this point home. If you're already using this as a client portal, you can definitely use ShareFile for both of these. All right, so let's get into the meat of today's presentation. I know this is why you came. Chapter 1 of what we're talking about here is getting started as an admin. And what I love about this section is if you happen to have just bought ShareFile, this is perfect timing. This is just some great recommendations on how to get started from the beginning. But even if you've already gotten started and maybe you're thinking, you know, what are some things that I could do to optimize, build buy-in across my team? Maybe some users aren't using ShareFile yet or are reluctant to adopt. These are great tips and tricks to kind of get to polish your existing account, as we like to say. So let's get one more slide, Christina. We will be sharing this document with you. We have actually an administrator checklist. That's what Michelle referenced earlier in today's webinar. And this is going to have a lot of how-to articles and images and links that you can work through to learn more about these. It's just kind of a little snapshot that you're seeing now. But when we like to think about your administrator checklist and getting set up in the very beginning to build the ideal collaboration platform, we think of 5 big things. Number 1 is preparing an action plan for your team. And this doesn't have to be a massive document. It's just really an idea of how do you plan to roll this out to your team and communicating that to them. Let them know you've purchased ShareFile. Let them know you're going to change the way that you share and exchange and store and collaborate on content. Give them a heads up that it's coming. You don't have to invite them just yet, but go ahead and put together a plan and communicate that to your team. Number 2 is adding your users. So whether you have 5 colleagues or 500 colleagues, we have ways to get your employee users into ShareFile. You can kind of add them one by one, or if you are someone kind of more on the IT side that has dozens or hundreds of users to add, we can do a bulk import, and our admin checklist will have some more detail on that. So go ahead, get your users in. You can wait to send them welcome emails. Meaning you don't have to notify them just yet that you have ShareFile. Just go ahead and get them set up. You can start to set permissions and tell them at a later date, we'll make a company announcement that this is ready for you to log in. Number 3 is organizing your data and documents. And I can imagine if you just thought, oh my gosh, my data is everywhere. It's in network shares, it's in a Google Drive account, some of it's in OneDrive, some of it's on different people's hard drives on their laptops. That's okay. That is where the power of ShareFile really comes into play. We give you flexibility to connect to other data repositories unlike anyone else on the market. So when you think about organizing your data and documents, you don't have to do a massive overhaul of everything you have. We give you options. Number 1 is you can migrate your data into ShareFile, and we have tools, again, in our checklist that'll get into this a little bit more. But you could actually move everything and host it in ShareFile. If that's a little more than you want to get into today, or you've got users that are very actively using those network shares and really, really like those, that's okay too. You can connect to other network drives or cloud platforms like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, and kind of build a port into those where they can access those documents through a single pane of glass in ShareFile. So ShareFile becomes your one-stop shop to access all data and documents without you having to migrate data at the beginning. That is a whole topic of conversation we could spend an entire webinar on. If you have questions, let us know, but also stay tuned for that handout today. Number 4 is building your team folder structure. Maybe you make some recommendations on how you'd like to organize your data as folks come in. You might want to organize it by, if you're working a lot with clients, their last names. Maybe you organize it by team, one folder for marketing, one folder for sales, one folder for finance. However you want to do that, maybe make a top-level recommendation so that you start out a little organized. And then at the very end, that's when you invite your users and say, all right, guys, we've got this kind of set up. Come on in, welcome. This is our new content platform. If you have a very large team, one of the best tips and tricks here is distribution groups, which will allow you to talk to teams en masse. So let's say you have, again, a marketing team, a sales team, and a finance team. Think of it just like an email group where you could email everybody in marketing or everybody in sales and announce, various things, content updates or rules about ShareFile in your business via those distribution groups. So this is kind of the checklist. This doesn't have to be all done at one time. You can kind of break this up and manage it as you see fit for your personalized business. That is truly one of the strengths of ShareFile, is that it is such a flexible platform, and you can really move at your pace. All right. And if any of this looks a little challenging, Christina has great news. Can you share a little bit more, Christina?
Absolutely. So we know that we cover a lot of content during these webinars, and by no means do we expect you to feel just off on your own afterwards. So we have options for every learning style. We host something called a Smart Start that is conducted by one of our very own customer success managers, just like me, and it's a 30-day personalized and strategic training program. So if everything you see on the webinar you think sounds awesome, but I don't know that I could teach everyone else in the office to utilize these tools, then all you need is a 30-day Smart Start program. For just $99, you will get assigned, again, a rep who will be able to learn your business, learn your needs, learn the tech savviness of everyone in your office, and build a training program so that by day 30, all users are up and running with every single feature that you need. So it's a huge return on your investment. And since you're already paying for us and using our products, just get the most out of it and really optimize your usage here. But for those that are more into self-help, we do also have just on-demand trainings. Live webinars like this one are great, and we do have a training video library online that we can offer to you that will show you features to get started, features on apps, as well as industry best practices. And of course, our 24/7 technical support line is here for you always as well. So again, tons of options. Just sit back and relax and try to soak it all in, but we're here to help afterwards if you need it. All right, and heading back to you, Liz.
Thanks, Christina. If I can brag on her for a moment, Christina is one of our best, but truly we have a very talented customer success team. It doesn't have to be something you do at the beginning of your life with ShareFile. If you get down the road and think, you know, I'm doing a great job, but I'd like to optimize this, or have somebody just kind of review my account to make sure we're using it to the best that we can, that is always an option. And Christina and her team are just really great experts in helping you get that rolled out. All right, if you are doing this yourself, we're gonna now get into some best practices for your team rollout. Let's go ahead, Christina. You've got the little admin checkout, but the second thing we're gonna share with you today in our follow-up documentation is a getting started guide. And that getting started guide is really focused on your end users. So employees, if you are on the call today, that 20%, this is all about you. Once you've kind of gotten the account a little set up, you as an administrator think, all right, we've got the bare bones set. We're now ready for our employees to start coming in. There's a capability that Christina will show us in just a moment where you can resend welcome emails. So this is essentially your grand announcement to your team of it's ready, it's set up, log into ShareFile and get started. I would also encourage you at that time to share that getting started guide with your team. And it's just going to cover a couple of the basic nuts and bolts around how to log in, how to share a file. For folks that like to have that reference, it's there. And then, of course, share those on-demand training resources that we mentioned on the previous slide. Again, this is all in your follow-up content. It's going to be really nice and easy for you. You know, we see different types of training models, some where we call train the trainer. You know, one person gets really becomes a ShareFile expert and goes around and trains teams. You can also do a group training using some of these on-demand materials. You know, from the product side, we like to say, you know, ShareFile is pretty straightforward. We don't want to scare your employees or team into thinking it's really complex. But where you like to kind of walk through step by step, these materials are available for you. If you prefer a little bit more of a tech savvy, just kind of self walkthrough, that is okay too. Again, back to the flexibility. This is your product and your journey. You can kind of take it in the direction you'd like. All right, Christina, can you show us a little bit, if I were inviting my team to ShareFile, what do I do?
I would love to. So getting started with the login screen, don't forget that the web address will be the same for any kind of user. So whether you're going to use this for an internal collaboration platform or for a client portal, whatever the subdomain you chose of your account, that's the web address you'll want to share with everybody. And they will sign themselves in. And I definitely agree with Liz. Creating an action plan is going to be very important that this gets rolled out successfully. So the first thing you'll want to do when you add your users, as Liz showed, is consider if you're ready to welcome them. So when you go to your Manage Users homepage to create either those paid employee users or the free clients, you can put in their email address and their name. So I will create a new employee user here. I have a great hire that I'm excited about. So I'll put in their information. I can adjust their settings and add them to a folder. But the step that I want to have us consider is that welcome email. So when you get to this page, stop and think, do I want John Snow in this scenario logging in and starting to play around in the folders and play around with the apps? Or should I wait and make sure that the folders are set up strategically? Wait until I know how to guide them through downloading the apps. So I would encourage everyone to skip sending that welcome email. And this way, you're able to start adding John Snow to folders. You're able to set up all the files that he'll need. And when you're ready, you'll come to resend welcome emails right here. And then search for John Snow. And you'll be able to find him, type in that custom message, and send the email at that point. Also, within the Folders tab, to show you some of your options, you can use this to completely navigate away from a traditional server. So if you want to essentially migrate all of your data into ShareFile, you can. All of our current business plans are unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth. So you can migrate your network drive up into ShareFile. You can migrate any employee shared documents you need. You can have it be a client portal, such as this one. But one of the structures I would like to show you is a team structure. So especially for those of you in mid or large size companies, you might have a finance department, HR, marketing, or sales. So you can create a root level folder structure, maybe called teams, and then break down that company structure by subfolder. This way you can add any admins to the root level so that their permissions filter down to help manage all the departments, or you can come specifically into a department. And you'll notice if I come to the People tab, I added a distribution group. So I created a group called Finance, put all of my finance employees inside of there. That way, instead of manually adding them one by one, all I had to do was add the word for the distribution group, and that added all employees. So to show you where that lives, within your People tab, come to Distribution Groups, and you'll see I've added my same 14 colleagues who are suppliers to a group, my 10 financial colleagues to a group. That way, again, I can add them in bulk to a folder. I can email them in bulk. So that's another great way to organize that structure there. Liz also touched on different connectors that we have. So if you don't want to migrate everything in, or maybe not yet at least, you can establish a connector to Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox. And that way it's a window into those accounts so that you can still collaborate on the documents within ShareFile without actually storing them initially there. So you can pull a document out of OneDrive and then safely email it out or safely collaborate on it. So there is a good use case to have both. You don't necessarily need to pick one over the other. The final piece is if you do want to use this as a server or an online network drive, for example, we have many apps on our apps page in the upper right that serve to help you get that data in there. For example, one that you'll see in one of our handouts is the Drive Mapper tool. This is a great way to drag and drop a folder into ShareFile and get it off of your hard drive, free up that space on your machine, and put it up in our cloud that has absolutely no limits for you. So that's just a little overview, but we're going to show you quite a few more tips and tricks. So I'm going to turn it back to Liz to share our next little secret.
Thanks so much. One of the common questions that we get is, hey, why would I want to connect to network drives, or why would I want to connect to other cloud providers? And And it gets back to our mission statement around we are a flexible content collaboration platform that allows you to work the way you want. A lot of other providers may force you into kind of using everything on one platform. This gives you the flexibility to say to your users, you know, maybe we're going to take the next 12 months to move all of our documents across every network and every drive into ShareFile, but that's going to take some time. Here's how we flexibly start to get into one place together now. You can go ahead and connect everything, start to build the habits of logging into ShareFile or using the ShareFile apps. And then with time, you know, you can migrate that over or kind of decide what needs to live in ShareFile and what can live in other data repositories. So think about it in terms of flexibility. Lots of people don't need connectors and don't use them. Lots of folks have, you know, so much data on SharePoint or on a network drive that it just allows you a ton of flexibility to get up and running quickly without having to migrate it all over. So chapter 3 of this webinar, as we get into this, what we really want to talk about is why ShareFile is such a great collaboration platform. We've talked about how you get set up to use that platform as an administrator, some tips around training and rolling this out to your end users. And then chapter 3 here, especially if you're not an administrator, this is really going to apply to everyone. We want to give you a couple of fan favorites for your team. So when you go out and talk about, you know, the merits of using ShareFile, that you can really build some excitement and also make sure you're getting the full value of the solution you've purchased. So we're going to show you 4 features. These are not the only 4 collaboration features in ShareFile. We would be here all day if we did that. So we're just going to show you 4 of our favorites, and there's so much more that you can expand on. And we also have other webinars really kind of dedicated to going through all of them. All right, number 1, Christina. This is one of Christina's favorites, if I can brag on her again. And this is from working with hundreds and hundreds of different businesses around their business practices. And it's really around co-editing and collaboration. And that's going to be true in the next 3 features. In a modern workforce, we have clients that we're collaborating on documents with. We have internal teams that we're collaborating on documents with. And we all know the headaches of version control and sending documents around and around via email, and somebody updates the wrong version of a file. Features like Desktop Open and Edit are really designed to control that collaboration and make sure we're kind of working on documents together and respecting and updating the latest version of a document every single time. So this is a feature within one of our apps for ShareFile, and it's called the Desktop app. It's available on Windows, and there's also a desktop app now on the Mac version as well, where you can right-click on a document and actually edit that, and it'll save right back into ShareFile so that the next colleague that logs in has the latest version. And Christina's going to show us what that looks like.
Absolutely. Now, just to show you where to get it from, that's going to be on the apps page again. So scrolling on up, here it is. This is the Windows version. And for those of you Mac users, you'll just make sure you're inside of the Mac tab. Now, I'm going to pull it up. We're looking at my desktop app right now. So it is a shortcut into the account, definitely, so that you can get to your files and folders faster. But that little known feature of the open and edit is definitely a favorite of mine. So if I double click into my Teams and I need to make a quick change to this Word document, it could be an Excel file or PowerPoint, just one of your standard Microsoft files. Normally, I would need to download it from ShareFile, make changes on my local computer, and then save it again on that local computer and manually re-upload it. Instead, I will right-click it, open and edit. It is opening Word for me, and here is that file. Now, if I need to do a quick little edit, we'll do test 1, 2, 3, and I'm satisfied. This is the edit that I wanted. I do not need to do a file save as and resave it to my documents. All I'll do is come to the upper left, click on the save icon, and that's it. I can X out of the document now. It is re-uploaded. So you'll notice, I'm going to pull back up the desktop app for us, that blue little sheet of paper indicates that there are multiple versions. If I click on it, you can see that the original that I uploaded about an hour ago is sitting there, and it has retained that new version for me. So just by clicking save, it re-uploaded the file, and it lets you keep both. So maybe Joe in the office made an edit and it wasn't exactly a good edit. You did not lose the original version. You can still go back to it, you know, and not be stuck with the newer version. And it also tells you the exact timestamp. So you'll know at the very minute someone made changes, and then the creator tells you who made those changes. So this is huge for editing Microsoft files quickly and easily. And again, that time stamping and, you know, this essentially audit trail leaves it to be very easy to tell who's doing what. All right, closing out of the desktop app, and we are ready for the next one.
And just to clarify for folks asking questions, Christina, do I need an Office 365 license to do this?
You do not. You just need to have Word accessible on your computer, but there is no Office 365 license necessary.
Great, thank you. So for folks asking questions, this is a great collaboration feature across, you know, across the desktop app that allows you to collaborate on files without needing an online editing license. This is not a true co-editing, so if you're kind of thinking of more of the Office 365 environment where 4 or 5 people could be in the same document at the same time editing the same version, we're going to show you that in just a few minutes. That does require an Office 365 license, but this does not. So we want to show you an option that everybody can use without that license, and then we'll show you co-editing in just a moment. All right. So let's move on to number 2. Again, we like to brag on some of our features, kind of not depending or not as dependent on which types of documents you're using or whether or not you're on Office 365. File check-in and check-out is another great way to kind of deal with the version control. The thing that we just showed you, the open and edit, is really specific to the desktop app. But this check-in and check-out would be across, you know, a number of different platforms. And it's really just kind of a hand raise to the other employees in your team that say, hey guys, just like you would at the library, I'm taking this book, I'm checking it out, I'm going to go read it, and I'll let you know when I've read the book, and I'll put it back on the shelf. Same thing, you're just going to right click, say, hey team, I'm working on this file, this is not the time for you to make edits, go make your changes, re-upload the file, select check in, and it's just another type of indication to your team that a new version has been uploaded. So either one of these work, just kind of, again, giving you flexibility where you pick what works best for your office. Christina, can you show us how this works?
Absolutely. So I'm going to just come up here to the web app since it's a little bigger for everyone to see, but you can check out a file from the desktop, from the web app. Now, one of the ways I try to think about the difference between open and edit in the desktop and check out is that if you know you just need to make a quick edit, maybe you need to add a new row on an Excel sheet or update a sentence or two on a Word doc, open and edit is a great option because you're doing it quickly, and the chances of another colleague trying to also make edits in that tiny amount of time is probably pretty small. So that's good for fast, very intentional edits. But if you need to stop and think about a document, really review it and reflect and annotate, then I would recommend checking it out so that other people know not to make edits simultaneously. So if I come back to this team folder and then to finance, that last edit I made was really fast. I knew no one would try to edit in that same 20-second time period. But this time I want people to know, don't make any edits right now. I'm going to make my edits. That way when we each re-upload our new version, we won't have conflicting versions on there. So what I'll do this time is I will check out the document right here. So this is kind of warning me. If you check out the document, it will be checked out for 24 hours unless you check it in prior to that time frame. And this will notify everyone else in the account if they try to download it that you currently have it checked out. So I will agree and check out the file. And there is that little orange arrow. That symbol will notify you that someone has a file checked out. And if John Snow in my company now came and clicked on this to download it, he'll get a warning pop-up message saying, are you sure you wish to download this file? It's currently being checked out. Now he can definitely still download it, but hopefully that will discourage him from actually making edits. He can still see it, you know, and reference it, but he'll know to wait to make his changes until I've checked it back in. So to check it back in, you will just right click, check in, and then because you actually are saving it locally, you will need to save that file and re-upload it. So I'm going to come here, find that same document with my new edits and check it back in. All right, again, hopefully the difference there is clear. Both options are available to everybody, but slightly different nuances of when you would want to utilize it. And we have a couple more tricks for you coming up now.
And Christina, just again for clarity, if somebody checks out a file and totally forgets about it, is the file locked out, and how do we know when that file is checked back in?
Good question. If you forget you've checked it out, it's no big deal, luckily. We will just auto check in that file for you. So there will be no new version uploaded. It will just essentially take off that lock on the file, and that little icon will disappear and the warning message would cease to pop up. So after 24 hours, it will essentially just check itself back in without any changes if you don't upload a new version.
And if I wanted to come back in while a file is checked out, let's say I'm saying, you know what, I don't need to see the updated version, I just needed to see the old version. Can I access a file while it's checked out?
Yep, you can still access the file that's currently in there. So while this file was checked out, anyone, including the person who's checked it out, can still click on it. They can still view it here in the content viewer, and they can still download it. So it doesn't actually stop them from saving new versions to their own computer. It's just a polite, discouragement so that they don't go ahead and make edits and re-upload it. So it's more of a polite way to let people know, hey, I've got it, but you can still download and look at it if you need to.
Awesome. Thanks, Christina.
And Liz, before you go on to co-editing, we had so many questions coming in about using the desktop app for open and edit, and I just would love for Christina to just answer these questions real quick, because I just don't want confusion happening between that feature and then the new feature that you're going to review. So Christina, if you could, I'm just going to ask these questions, and then they should be just nice and quick answers. So do you have to be in the desktop app to do that open and edit that you showed?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Can more than one person edit at a time in that feature?
Good question. I think I understand what they're asking. So anybody can, in their own desktop app, right-click and open and edit a file. So technically, two people could both be opening and editing a file and then saving it back simultaneously, which is why you really only want to do it if there is a quick edit to make, but it is not the same thing as like live editing on a Google Doc or in the Office 365. You would not see the other user on your file making changes, if that makes sense. You won't see their cursor and their words appearing while you type. They're two totally separate documents, and each user would make separate edits to a different version of that file.
Perfect, thank you. And then how long are the versions saved in ShareFile?
Oh, good question. They will be saved here indefinitely. So until you are wanting to delete one of these, by checking the box and deleting it, we will hold on to all the versions for as long as your folder file retention policy is, which as a side note, as the default, your personal and shared folders will never delete files. So they're there permanently.
Okay, and last question on this, are all Microsoft files available for editing?
I can confidently say PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. Outside of that, I would want to double check just to make sure I don't speak incorrectly.
Great. Thank you so much for that recap. Sorry to interrupt the flow, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone who was wondering about those got those answered before we moved on to our Office 365 co-editing.
Sure.
Thanks so much, Michelle. So if you're looking at these first two options, these are really, again, specific to, I don't have a co-editing license in my environment. Number 3 is kind of the ideal. If you do have an Office 365 environment, they're very cheap. This allows you to co-edit a document in ShareFile. And what we mean when we say co-editing, again, in contrast to what we just saw, is the document lives online and multiple people can actually be editing and commenting and making changes in a document at the same time, and everyone can see what's happening. If you remember a couple of years ago, there were commercials around this with Google. The advantage to using ShareFile when you're co-editing is that the security and the collaboration features beyond what Office 365 are offering here are unparalleled. So you can go in Office 365 and you can co-edit, but the security that we're going to add on top of it, the audit trails, the apps across devices, the connectivity to other network shares and repositories. Maybe this is a file that's on a network share, but you have an Office 365 license, so you can edit it there. This is really the full extension, well beyond what you'd be able to do with just Office 365 on its own. But this is an option that will allow you to do it kind of all at one time, all in one. If you are asking the question, I'll go ahead and get the answer out there before it even comes. Hey, can I do this with Google editing? I don't want to just do it with Office 365. I'd like to use a free Google license. That is on our product roadmap. It's not available yet, but stay tuned for more exciting announcements coming soon. And I just want to do a time check, Christina. If we can do a quick demo on this one, then we'll just circle back on our last features.
Sure thing. So when I click into a file and I'm online, you have the option to edit, and that is referring to this live co-editing with Office 365. So when you click edit, it does require that you log in with your user credentials. I am already logged in, so it just took me right to this online editing, and any changes that I need to make are automatically saved. As you look up top, it says saving, and it will switch and change to say saved. So it is, again, live editing. Liz and Michelle could be in here right now with me, making edits along next to mine, almost like a conversation. So again, multiple people in the same document, as opposed to the other ones where each user making their own edits privately.
Awesome.
All right.
So this last one, maybe we'll skip the demo on it, Christina, just for the sake of time. We do want to be respectful of the time you've committed to us today, but it's really worth bringing it up. This is unlike anything else that you may have seen. This is a really cool tool, especially if you're working with clients all the time. If you're in accounting, if you're in legal, if you're in finance, or if you're in any other industry where getting hard, auditable, documentable approvals is a really big deal. So for example, I do this all the time with procurement contracts. The feedback and approvals feature is very unique to ShareFile, and it allows you to upload a document, send it around to your colleagues, to your clients, to a third-party vendor through ShareFile's bank-level security, and get their feedback. But the difference here is that it's giving some really hard documented feedback, and at the end of the day, you can designate people to approve a document, and it's like just inking, putting a stamp on the document and saying, beyond the shadow of a doubt, this person documented or approved this document. So things like contracts, tax documents, services that you provide to clients, if you want them to approve that document. This is amazing for its audit trail and its ability to document that you got that approval. If there's any question later in the day of, no, I don't think I agreed to this, you can always come back with feedback and approvals and show, yep, on this day and at this time, you approved this document. All right, I think, Michelle, we ran right up into time. So, you know, we're happy to demo this if folks have time, but I just want to be conscious of where folks are in their busy days. Do you want to cover off on what we're going to get after this webinar and any outstanding questions?
Absolutely. So again, thank you everyone so much for your participation today. We had such an engaged audience today, and that makes us really excited to know that you want to learn more about these tools and how to become an expert in ShareFile. So after today's webinar, you will be getting that administrator checklist that Liz went over in the very beginning of the webinar. We also have that getting started guide for employees. You would have received that guide when you were you know, a brand new customer, but it could have gotten lost, or you know, you just may not have it available anymore. So we're going to be sending that to you as well. We'll send you that information on the Smart Start training. We had several customers raise their hands, and we have your information. So we'll be sure to get back to you about that. And you'll also get a copy of the slides today. So this will all be coming in the follow-up email with your recording. So look out for that email. Email sharefilewebinars@citrix.com. If you don't see that email, that comes to me directly, and I'm happy to follow up and make sure you get everything that you need. We did have several questions come into the Q&A, and we did have Callie back there answering so many questions as fast as she could, along with Lindsay. But if your question did not get answered, do not worry, because we will make sure that we email you back with an answer to your question that you submitted today. We have a customer success team ready to answer those for you. So again, thank you everybody. Thank you Liz and Christina and Callie and Lindsay for such a great presentation and for such great information. We do really appreciate you guys taking your time today, this 45 minutes to spend with us. And we do have 2 more webinars coming up. Just like this, we have one coming up on the 24th, top 5 features to keep you secure with ShareFile. And on the 31st of August, we will be going over the state of content collaboration, why ShareFile is your leader. So this will be another collaboration webinar where we'll be speaking about the Magic Quadrant that Liz was mentioning, and going over more in depth about these collaboration tools, some of which we reviewed today and a couple of different ones. So please visit sharefile.com/support, go to that masterclass webinar site, and register for those if you haven't yet already. So again, thank you everyone, and until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.